No, we gotta do.
That's that that little banjo picking thing should be on Duck Dynasty. I love Duck Dynasty. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Are you there? Oh.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
All right. Well, wait a second.
Did you hear anything that I said?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Hold on.
But yeah.
Wait.
I'm not starting yet.
Can you hear God voice?
Oh, hold on.
Hey.
How do I get my picture without? Oh, I guess I can't get my picture without
No,
the chat.
you can't. I'm sorry. I was.
Oh, there it is. Never mind. I'm an idiot.
Can you hear God voice?
I can hear God voice.
Okay. That's all that matters.
Well.
Okay. God voice. God voice matters.
It does. Okay.
So let's wait for people to come on.
Wait, yeah. Wait.
Okay, in chat, I'm going to type something.
Hey, Rolo's mom is here.
What?
Her name is Rolo's mom. I'm going to not do that. I'm going to do this. Mom, we still got 6 minutes.
Okay, but I just want to put something on the chat thing and it won't see it doesn't seem to let me.
It might not let you. God bless America. America is to be God bless.
Yeah, no, that's my Facebook chat, so cancel.
Damn. No, I have it right. No, I don't. Okay. Now I have it right.
Hold on a second.
Now let me go over here. Share. Wait, what is going on?
What is GTSFY?
Good to see you.
Why do you got a Tuinal pill on the bottom of that?
A what?
That little symbol right there on your Gitsy thing by the chat marker.
Oh, that's no. That's settings. Plus or whatever.
Oh, looks like a 2-in-all. They don't make those anymore, by the way. I think
I don't know.
people from my generation is the reason why. We call them tudes because you got a tude when you did them, and I did them regularly. Like everyday regular. And no, they weren't prescribed to me.
That's okay. They don't need to be prescribed to you. See, now you can't see it. This is bullshit.
But yeah, in the 70s and the 80s, man, those things were very, very popular to people like me. We did them with things like morphine and plastic.
Okay. Well, you're not going to be able to see that chat.
I know. It's okay.
Well, you'll be able to see this
Display
chat.
here.
But I can see the pill chat. Okay.
Yeah.
3 minutes. Oh,
Okay.
actually, 13 minutes.
Oh, wow. We got ways to go.
We got 13 minutes for people to show up. But if you don't worry too much, I have a plan.
Well, yeah, what's the plan?
To type this girl. I don't. My mom. My mom. Enter. Okay.
What, did she ask who I was?
I was sharing it so she knows who you was.
Yes.
Hey, don't breathe like that. We're almost ready. I just gotta make sure people know we're ready. Okay. G-Dog. Okay. We're gonna go to we're gonna say my mom. Yeah. There you go. Now, what was I doing?
I have no idea.
Okay. Rolo's mom. That's all you. Okay. So, now we're done. All right.
I look like a little babushka.
It's okay. My goal is to be a little Polish lady. So
That's what a babushka is, a grandma. A
well,
little
that's
Polish
my-
grandma. They're
that's
called
my goal.
babushka.
I'll probably not be a grandma, but I want to be an
Oh, you're
old
going to be a
Polish-
grandma. You've got a daughter and a son, and both of them are old enough and capable enough to make you one.
Yeah, but ain't neither of them interested in that kind of shit. My kids are nerds.
Not right now.
All right. You ready?
Yeah. As soon as people show up, I don't see anything on my chat. I'm waiting for actual people to show up.
Hey, Rolo's mom is here.
Oh, hi, Rolo's mom.
Yeah, she's here.
How are you doing, sweetheart?
Yeah, how are you doing, Rolo's mom? Kristen. Her name is Kristen.
Hi, Kristen. I'll put the cigarette out now. Oh,
Yeah,
Miss Lulu left, by the way.
It's okay.
Yes, she decided probably to go fight with the other cats.
All right, light your cigarette and let's do chapter 1.
Okay. My cigarette is lit. I was sure gonna wait a few to let other people join, so I didn't have to really go back right away.
You ain't gonna go back, they can go back.
Well, that's true too. They can rewatch everything, I suppose. Okay. So what I'm going to do is start in Job chapter 1.
We're gonna restart.
Okay. I'll start by saying Job was the oldest book in scripture as far as dating comes. But it was written in the time of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but it was not put into scripture until later, after the Pentateuch, which is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers, and Deuteronomy, the 5 books of Moses, where you find the Decalogue or the 10 Commandments. But it was written in the time of the patriarchs, or shortly after most of the patriarchs were gone and just the siblings were left. Probably closer to the time of maybe King Solomon, I would think, or in that era. It was probably placed in the same caves that where they found all the other old manuscripts, the Dead Sea Scrolls, because back in the Middle East in those times there was issues with flooding like regularly. That's why the land was so fertile, because flood things were known to happen. So the book of Job, we're going to do a deep dive into the book of Job and the relationship between God and man, but also between God and Satan and man. It's also going to teach us of God's authority over man and Satan. Now, as we travel through the book of Job, I will be breaking down certain words in the chapter to help you see the bigger picture, because this first chapter reveals a few things about the promise God made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and why we can trust him to fulfill his promises to us. Now, let's get into chapter 1 of Job. And we'll go into the first verse afterwards. Now, it says, there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance was also 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the East. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, everyone his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Thus Job did continually. Now I'm going to stop there because there's a few things that we're going to go over in just those few verses of 1 through 5. Now the first thing we're going to do is break down the word the land of Uz and the name of Job. The word perfect, the word upright, feared, and eschewed evil. Right off the bat, those are the words we're going to do first. Now, Job 1:1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. We'll stop there so I can break that down. Now, the land of Uz is important because of where it is. The place where the land of Uz was is located in southwestern Jordan and the Gulf of Aqaba, which is the Negev desert. Then moves toward the southern Jordan and northwestern Saudi Arabia, the modern day Golan Heights, which is also known as Mount Seir, in the lands of Ishmael from the book of Genesis. The reason being they all would need land for herds, also water, and also protection from others. We know this because Genesis 28:9 tells us this. We also know it because there's other verses in Genesis, which I'm going to point out, that will also show you that. So the first thing that we see in 28:9, it tells us that Esau went to Ishmael and took unto himself the wives he had, Mahaphalah, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebajoth, to be his wife. And it goes on to say in Genesis 33, 8, 9, and 14, that Jacob and Esau, that Jacob has started to come back into those lands. God had called Jacob to return to the land of Canaan. And on his way, he was afraid of his brother. And so Jacob devised a plan that he was going to send Esau a bunch of stuff ahead of him and let Esau know that he was coming. And he broke up his huge group of people into all these little miniature things that he was going to send to his brother to ease the wrath of his brother. Because he hadn't realized that while God was doing a work on Jacob in Laban's home in the land of Haran, that God was also doing a work on Esau in the land. I know, I'm going to get to it. This is important stuff. Just let me finish.
Iran is a fucking enemy. Say it
I said
right.
Haran. That's where Jacob went to, the land of Haran, where his brother-in-law Laban lived.
Well,
Where
see,
he
it
found his
sounds too
wife
close.
Leah and Rachel. Can I continue now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So he went to Haran, and so when he's on his way back, thank you. So he's on his way back, and he runs into Esau, and Esau hugs him, and they get this whole thing together. And and you hear Jacob say that he's going to travel at a slower pace because he has little kids and he has newborn animals that he can't drive as hard as he would the older animals. So he will meet him at Mount Seir, which, when you look at it, is located right where the land of Uz was. And it is Mount Seir. Geographically, all Bible scholars agree. That's something that is not debated. I have family from the Middle East. I can honestly tell you that this is correct. Tons of family from the Middle East. Tons of family still in the Middle East. In Israel, actually. That's where my grandparents met. I can't hear you. You need to unmute your mic if you're going to talk to me.
No, I'm yelling at you because I'm not related to those terrible ass people.
Actually, I didn't. Nikki, we're not related to the whole entire country of Israel. We're related to some people in Israel. That's where your grandmother, your great grandmother came from. That's where your great grandfather came from. That's where your cousins came from. That's where a lot of people come
Again,
from.
I'm not claiming those people.
You claim your, do you
Look,
claim, excuse me, do you claim your grandfather?
No,
George Sam Grebe, you do not claim my dad.
hell no, if he's a Jew. Are you
He's not
kidding?
Jewish. He's
No.
an Israeli Arab. And there's nothing wrong with Jewish people. And I'm not going to have this debate with you. You either want to do this with me or you don't. I don't really care. I can do this all by myself.
No, you can do it with me, but stop telling people I'm a Jew.
I didn't tell people you. I said you were an Arab. And
Oh, okay.
so either let me do this or let's not do it at all, because I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to sit there. No, because you constantly do that. It's either you're going to do this my way or we're not going to do this.
Go ahead, Mom. Go ahead. Do it.
Okay. Which shows God keeping it. Okay. I have no idea where I'm at now because you're constantly doing these things. So
Hi, honey. Are you busy?
You were at Haran, Mom.
No, I wasn't. I was past that.
Dad wants me to live stream with you. Mom, you're right after Haran, and you were saying we related to...
Okay, so no, okay. So anyways, in Genesis 38, 9, and 14, you see where Jacob is traveling to Mount Seir to be with his brother. Now, Job lived in Mount Seir, which shows the correlation. And the reason Jacob was traveling there, the reason Esau was bringing him there was because Esau was living in Mount Seir, but he was also close to Ishmael's tribe in the Saudi Arabian area, because that is the land of Ishmael. And we know this from scripture also. And we see how all of these people were living together because they were one family unit. They didn't have all the division that they have today. They all served God, the God of Abraham. They all knew him that way because they were raised with him that way. Even Ishmael, until he was 12. Ishmael knew God. Ishmael was raised with God. Ishmael was circumcised. Jacob and Esau were circumcised according to the things that God had called Abraham to do. They knew God. Job knew God the same way Ishmael, Isaac, and Jacob knew God. And Esau knew God. They didn't have the insanity that you have today in the Arab nations. It was completely different in those times. So, and that's important because it shows you the foundation was strong even in those days. Jacob is continuing to push all these animals and everything towards Esau because he wants to bless Esau. But Esau eventually tells him, don't worry about it, Jacob. I've got enough for myself. Keep what you have for yourself and for the tribe that you have. And it shows God being faithful, not just to Jacob, but also to Esau, because Esau is also part of the promise. He's not the exact promise that God gave to Jacob, but he still has the same promise that God gave to Ishmael, which was
Mom, we're not in
different.
Genesis.
I know, but it's still important to understand why we're going to see what we see in Job. Because Job is a direct descendant of Esau. So when you see these things, when you see this throughout the book of Job, you see that because of his direct descendant to Esau, he still falls in the line of the blessing. That's why his wealth was as good as it was. But that's not the only reason. There's a twofold reason. The second reason is because Job honored God the way Abraham honored God, the way Jacob honored God, the way David honored God, the way everybody honored God. And when God is honored in that way, it brings forth blessing. There's a twofold reason. That's why Job was as wealthy as he was. The blessing was part of it, but also his relationship with God was the other part. Now, the name Job in Hebrew is Yob, Y-O-B-E, which means hated and persecuted, which is a pretty accurate picture from what we see throughout this book. And it is important because God is going to open Job's eyes to some truths about spiritual warfare, human nature, and how he sees him and how everyone else sees him. It then goes on to say that and that man was perfect and upright and one that feared God and eschewed evil. Now I am going to break down the word perfect here because it is used in a very specific way. It was only ever used this way one other time in scripture, and that was in Ezekiel 28, verse 15. And that's important because God is showing the difference in how he sees things and how we see things. Now, the word perfect in Job 1:1 is the Hebrew word tawn, but it's spelled T-A-M, but pronounced T-A-W-N, tawn. And in Ezekiel 28:15, he spells it T-A-I-M-I-Y-M, which is pronounced Tamim. The spelling is significant because of the meaning, which I will show you now. Now in Job 1:1, the word tam or tawn means complete, gentle, dear, undefiled, and plain. Just nothing miraculous. which is exactly the same way Jesus is described in Isaiah 53. But that's a whole nother story. But the same word in Ezekiel 28:15, Tamim, means without spot, without blemish, complete, full, sound, undefiled, and whole. Now in Job 1:1, we know God was talking about Job. And in Ezekiel 28:15, he was talking to Satan. It is God showing us how he saw them on the day they were created, both the spiritual and the flesh, because God judges both by the heart. And he saw them both just as they were, one spirit and one human, when he created them. Now, the next word used to describe Job is upright, which is the Hebrew word yasser, which means straight and just, which again is showing how God sees not just Job, but you and me. Remember what God told Samuel in 1 Samuel 16:7, look not on his countenance, nor the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth. For man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. And Jesus takes it a step further in Romans 28:8-30, where he states, and we know that all things work together for the good for them, to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose, for whom he did foreknow, he also predestined, and to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Moreover, whom did predestinate, them he also called, and to whom he called, them he also justified, and whom he justified, them he also glorified. It goes on to say in Job 1:1 that he feared God. Now, the word fear here in Hebrew is Yahweh, which means reverent. It means, remember when I was first telling you that Job had a specific relationship with God, this is the relationship. He didn't fear God like he was afraid of God. He had a reverential fear of God because of who God was. He loved God because God was the creator of the universe, the God who put air in his lungs, the God who had blessed him with what he was blessed with. Job loved God because God was God, and he deserved worship, and he deserved praise, and he deserved to be loved. It wasn't just because of the blessing. It was because God was God. That's important. That also shows the reason God looked at Job the way God looked at Job. He called him dear. He was dear to God. God saw him as lovable and honorable, and in his flesh, even with his flaws, God saw him as important. And that's important. And showing Job loved God, not just because of his blessings, again. And it says that it goes on to say that Job eschewed evil. Now, the Hebrew word here is surser, S-U-R, surser, which means to walk away, depart, withdraw, or to stand away from, never to be a part of. When they see it coming, they walked in the opposite direction. They wanted no part. Now, God painted a very clear picture of who Job was, who Job is through this first verse. That's why when we get into verses 2 and 3, we see the extent of it. Job 1, 2, and 3. He was blessed with daughters, with substance. And he had a very great house, which means he also had tons of servants. He had money, he had wealth. Besides just his things, he had other stuff as well. And the second is this. In Genesis 13, 14, and 16, God spoke to Abraham, lift up now thine eyes and look from the place where you are. Now, this is when God was bringing Abraham out of Egypt. God goes, now look to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west, after he had separated himself from Lot. Okay. And God says, for all the land which you seest, to thee will I give it to you and to your seed forever. So Job was a direct descendant of Esau. The promise was also to him. That's why when I say Saudi Arabia, and I say places like Kuwait, and I say places like Qatar, those are all descendants of these very people. Abraham, Isaac, Esau, Jacob. They are all part of that promise. The 12 princes of Esau are of Ishmael. The 12 princes of Esau, the 12 tribes of Jacob. The Middle East was promised to Abraham and his seed. The fighting we see going on in the Middle East today didn't happen back in these days. They all knew they were family. And at this moment in time, they all served the same God. There was no bitterness. There was no hatred. There was no animosity like we see today. And that's important. Even my grandmother and my grandfather, when they lived in Israel, my grandfather came from Kufta, Lebanon. My grandmother came from Jordan. And they met in Israel in what is known as the Shepherd's Field, the place where the angel of the Lord ascended and said, behold, I bring to you great tidings of great joys, for unto you this day in the city of Bethlehem was born unto you a Savior, Christ the Lord. My grandmother and grandfather met there. Now, my grandmother and grandfather's family fled to Israel because of the persecution of Christians and the persecution of non-Muslim Arabs in those countries. And their families lived in Israel amongst the Jewish people. They all lived side by side. They all got along. Again, before Islam went completely berserk, that's where they lived. And they lived there for years until World War II. And the Muslims joined Adolf Hitler and started killing Christians and Jews. My grandfather and my grandmother said that when they came here, that the word in Israel among the Arabs was that Hitler got along with the Muslims because they had the same philosophy, that Christianity and Jesus was like a cancer in the world and it needed to be cut out. And that they all Christians and all Jews, because it was because of Judaism that Christianity was alive and well, all needed to die to purge the earth of it. So my grandmother and grandfather came here with my uncle Saeed, my uncle Elias, my uncle Joseph. My Aunt Kay. That's actually where the Gabors came from, too. They were Jews. Eva Gabor, Jaja Gabor, Eva Gabor. They were Hungarian Jews, and they had to flee Eastern Europe to not be exterminated by the Nazis in Hungary. But that's a whole nother thing. But it was just very important. So because Job was a direct descendant of Esau, the promise was also to him. Now, there's another verse right here in verses 4 and 5, which is the last ones that I'm going to discuss until I continue to read. And it says, and his sons went and feasted in their house, everyone his day, and sent and called for their sisters to eat and drink with them. Verse 5 says, and it was so that when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, now remember that, because that's going to be very, very important a little bit down the line. It says, Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus Job did continually. Now, the word continually here is really, really, really important. And there really isn't a Hebrew word or even an Aramaic or even a Greek word that can describe what this word continually means, because it has many definitions. But the way it's put here is the same way it's put in the book of Revelations when it says that Jesus was the lamb that was slain before the foundation of the world. And it's also the same word that is used when you read the verse that says pray without ceasing. It's a continuous, it's a nonstop. It's a from the time you close your eyes to the time you open your eyes, you have this continually going. It's nonstop. It never leaves. It's there. So that's, this is something that is happening continually. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Continually. Just so we're sure, that needs to be specified. Now, go on, God voice 6 and 7, and then I'm going to reread them after you're done. God
I'm
voice.
going to read them. Okay. Now, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. And wait, what?
You're supposed to be doing it in God voice, remember?
I know,
Okay.
but I'm trying to.
Okay, here. Now there was a day when the sons of God came and presented themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro, up and down in the earth, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it.
Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
And then you got to do all the way to.
I'll do it.
All the way up to 12. Because that's the whole conversation between from 6 to 12.
I got it. Okay. What are you doing here? Last time you were here, you fucked a bunch of shit up. I called the cops, and then you ran. So, what are you doing here? I'm calling the cops.
Calm down, big guy. Calm down. Don't call the cops. I'm here to tell you things. Everybody hates you. Yeah, take that.
Nobody hates me. Only you hate me. Look, do you see Job over there? He don't hate me.
I bet if you fucked him up, he would. I could do it. No.
No. No. Maybe. Listen. You can't kill him.
No, I can't mess with him because protection. Yeah, that's all you. No.
No. No. It's okay. Because he's still not going to hate me. You can do whatever you want. Just don't kill him. I mean, anything you want to do, you just can't kill him.
Bet.
Go ahead, Mom.
Okay, so now I'm going to reread it and I'm going to explain it. Okay. Yes, because there's some stuff that I have to explain in here, so I have to reread it so that I can. It says, now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that fears God and eschews evil? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, doth Job fear God for naught? Now that's important, okay? Because you remember in Genesis chapter 2, when Satan appeared before Eve, Adam and Eve in the garden, and he said, did God say you couldn't eat from the trees? And Eve goes, we can eat of every tree in the garden except this one tree. Because the day you eat from that tree, the day we eat of that tree, we will surely die. And what did Satan say? You're not gonna die. He's trying to use that same logic on his creator. He did the same thing to Jesus. He goes, if you be the Son of God, turn those stones into bread. See, Satan will always give you a little bit of truth with a whole bunch of lie wrapped around it. Everything he tells you isn't a lie, just some of it. Then he goes, hast thou not made a hedge about him and about his house and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in thy land. But put forth thine hand now and touch all that he has, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, all that he has is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. Now, this is important because there's a couple of things going on here that Satan's not aware of and Job's not aware of. Only God himself is aware of what's actually happening here. Satan may know. I can't say from this scripture whether he knew or not. But I do know one thing. Satan was afraid to touch Job until he had this conversation with God, and God gave him permission, which ought to tell you is how much he actually feared God. He had conversations with God, and I don't know why he ever thought he could make God doubt. That to me made no sense in me, but he was actually trying to use the exact same thing he used on Adam and Eve on God. And then he had enough guts to try to use the exact same logic on Jesus. Hello, Jesus was there the day you were created. Do you think he doesn't know who you are? It makes absolutely no sense to me. But hey, whatever. Crazy is as crazy does, right? Then it goes on to say, and there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in the eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the ass feeding beside them, and the Sabians fell upon them and took away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the fire of God is fallen from heaven and hath burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking. But now this fire from heaven, you have to realize, is not God. It is Satan. Remember, the book of the New Testament tells of that there's three heavens. There's the atmospheric heaven we see. Then there's Satan's realm of heaven that we see. And then there's God's heaven. So Satan literally cast fire from his place in the heavens. But it goes on to say, while he was yet speaking, there came another and said, the Chaldeans made out 3 bands and fell upon the camels and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am left and escaped to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are all dead. And I only escaped alone to tell thee. Then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshipped and said, naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. Again, he's still worshiping God. Even in the midst of all his tragedy, he's still worshiping God. He's blaming God, but not in the way that you would think he's blaming God. He's saying that this happened and God knew it was coming and he didn't stop it, which is what a lot of us do. Which again, not taking responsibility for our own actions, but that's because sometimes we don't even realize our actions are the reason these things are happening. And that's okay. It says, chapter 2. Nikki, do the God voice.
Wait, say hi to Raja.
Hi, Raja.
Okay. And there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them.
I saw what you did. that wasn't very cool. I mean, those are like innocent people.
They're collateral damage. It's not my fault.
Yeah, I'm her mom.
Yeah, that's my mom. But anyway, Satan, like, you're not supposed to be here. I have a restraining order. Like, why are you here?
I'm here because I got another idea. I'm gonna make him hate you for sure. Yes, I am. And then God was like, okay.
Okay. So, where am I at? Okay. Stretch out your hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will surely curse me to my face. That was supposed to be Satan. But anyway, behold, he is in your hand, but spare his life.
Okay, go ahead, Mom.
Okay, now I'm going to reread it so that I can go on. Now it says, again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. And the Lord said unto Satan, from whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that fears God and eschews evil, and still he holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movedest me against him to destroy him without cause. Now, look, God said without cause. God knows there was a cause. God knows there was a cause. And I think he's trying to say it this way, not because he's lying, because God cannot lie, but because he wants to see if Satan will actually realize what he needs to realize. And Satan answered the Lord and said, skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath, he will he give for his life. But put forth thine hand now and touch his bone in his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life. Now again, God is telling Satan, he's in your hand. Satan still hasn't caught on yet. Well, yes, he could lie, but he doesn't. This is a fact. Nor would he. Because if he lied, he would stop being God. And then you would have two hells instead of one. But that's a whole nother Bible story. I'm going to keep going here. And Satan answered the Lord. So Satan went from the Lord and from the presence of the Lord, and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto the crown of his head. And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. Then his wife said unto him, dost thou still retain thy integrity? Curse God and die. But he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin with his lips. Now, when Job's 3 friends heard all of this evil that was come upon him, they came, everyone from his own place. Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shunammite, and Zophar the Naamathite. And they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and to comfort him. Now, that's what it says. Now, and this is the posture with which they came. Okay? But they didn't come to comfort him. They came to pass judgment on him as if they could. See, because they don't realize a couple of things, but they're about to learn something here too. But they don't realize they're learning something. And this is where God breaks, this is where everything is going to break open. And when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, they lifted up their voices and wept. And they rent everyone his mantle and sprinkled dust upon their head toward the heaven. So they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights. And none spake a word unto him, for they saw that his grief was very great. Now, this first thing is actually a very ancient Arabic thing. It's very Middle Eastern, because they still, in a lot of the Middle Eastern countries and even in the African countries, they still do that to this day. This is their mourning periods. It's 7 days. The only difference is we no longer do it with the bodies around us. That's the only thing that's changed. But even in the Old South, people used to do it that way. They would set up days on end with the dead body, praying over it and doing all of those things, which I think is just something that's from everybody actually coming from Mesopotamia in the beginning of time and scattered throughout the world in the earth. But yeah, it's just something that has followed every country and every tradition from the beginning of time. But yes, so now we're going to start getting into the meat and the depth of this story. But as you notice, they sat with him for 7 days and they're taking in the scenery. And they're not exactly looking at Job as innocent. They're looking at all this catastrophe around him, and they're trying to come up with a way to say, you must have did something really bad, Job, for this to happen. But they haven't found it yet. But they're going to get into it, because Job is going to open his mouth and say something here that's going to open the floodgate. Now it says, after this, opened Job his mouth and cursed his day. And Job spake and said, let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said there is a man-child conceived. Let the day be darkness, let not God regard it from above. Neither let the light shine upon it. Let darkness and the shadow of death strain it. Let a cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. As for that night, let darkness seize upon it. Let it not be joined unto the days of the year. Let it not come into the number of the month. Lo, let that night be a solitary. Let no joyful voice come therein. Let them curse it that curse the day, who who are ready to raise up their mourning. Let the stars of the twilight therefore be dark. Let it look for light, but have none. Neither let it see the dawning of the day, because it shut not up the doors of my mother's womb, nor hid sorrow from mine eyes. Now, Job is in a place of mourning. So Job's grief is real. This is Job's real grief. And he's going to continue. He says,
Hey,
why died I not? Huh?
what verse are you on?
Verse 11, chapter 2.
Okay. I don't. Verse 11, chapter 2?
Yes. Or
Okay.
chapter 3, I'm sorry.
Verse 11, chapter 3?
Yeah.
All right. After chapter 3, we got to stop and pay attention to chat.
Okay.
So go ahead and finish.
Okay, I will. And it says, why died I not from the womb? Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out of the belly? Why did the knees prevent me? Or why the breast that I should suck? For now should I have lain still and been quiet. I should have slept. Then had I been at rest with kings and counselors of the earth, which built desolate places for themselves, or with the princes that had gold, who filled their houses with silver, or as a hidden ultimate untimely birth. I had not been as infants which never saw light. There the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary be at rest. There the prisoners rest together. They hear not the voice of the oppressor. The small and the great are there, and the servant is free from his master. Wherefore is light given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter soul, which long for death, but it cometh not, and dig for it more than for hidden treasures, which rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they can find the grave. Why is light given to a man whose way is hid, into whom God hath hedged in? For my sighing cometh before I eat, and my roarings are poured out like the water. For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. I was not in safety, neither had I rest, neither was I quiet, yet trouble came. Now, this is the reason, that verse right there is the reason everything happened. That was the open door that Satan had, that Satan himself didn't know and Job didn't know. And God had to let things go. God had to say, everything he has is in your hand. Because he was making sacrifices out of fear, not out of faith. And the thing that he feared, and he even said it, I feared it. That's why Job said, in case my sons curse God, in case my kids did this, in case my kids did that, I'm going to make these sacrifices. And every sacrifice he made in fear. Everything, he was making it in fear and in doubt, which null and void the faith. See, everything has a spiritual consequence as well as a physical consequence. So everything that's going to happen after this is going to, he spoke what he believed in his heart. Because, see, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Job needed to say it out loud so that God could heal it. He had to bring it into the light. I agree, they do. But it can only be fixed if they can admit it. And see, all of this is to bring Job to a point where he's able to say it out loud and repent of it. See, Job hasn't repented. Job was sacrificing for his kids, but Job wasn't sacrificing for his fear. Job wasn't sacrificing for his doubt. Job was sacrificing because he was afraid that if his kids died, they would die in sin. That's complete fear. He has to be able to say, I know my kids are making mistakes. I know my kids may do this. So Job was doing for his children, but Job wasn't doing for Job. That's how the door got open. Job left himself open to the attacks from Satan. But even Satan couldn't see it because of the protection God had around him. But God had to make Job face his fear.
Right.
So he told Satan, you have access to him. You've had access to him for years. You just never saw it or you never took it.
Yep.
And so these are all things that need to be addressed. So this is how God gets him to where he needs to be. So hello, everybody in chat.
There's Raja, and she's saying,
Raja.
We're on chapter 4, by the way.
Yes, we're getting into the conversations. Now, here's the part. Remember, remember what I told you Job's name was in Hebrew, right? Persecuted and hated. This is where these guys show their true colors. This is where they look at everything going on around Job and they see the destruction of Job and they see Job as less than now. They see this as a gotcha moment. Now we're in control. Now we're the mighty. And now we're going to call you out because everything you had to have gotten by illicit means, or all of this destruction wouldn't be coming upon you. And this is pretty much what they're going to tell him in the middle of his grief. But they're going to wrap it up as them trying to get him to repent. You guys got to give me a second. I got to go check on my crazy dogs for 1 minute. I'll be right back. All right.
Take your time, Mom. It's fine.
And we may have to do this again next Sunday. I think Sundays will be better for us, Nikki.
Okay. We might have to do it earlier in the morning or something. Raja, I might be about to pull the plug because Dustin's about to call. It's okay. We're about to end anyways. My mom is something. But she knows things and she wants to spread her knowledge. So why not on Saturday and Sunday on my show? Because it's 3:00 and I gotta call my dad. Wait, I don't know if my mom wants to call it a quits.
Do what?
If you want to call it quits, it's because we're both from Detroit.
Oh yeah, we can. Well, it's 2:37. If everybody is done and they want to do this again tomorrow, that will, or next Sunday, we can do it then too.
We'll do it in the early afternoon.
On Sundays.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
she
can
wants
do
to
it
finish.
at,
Okay,
like,
so we'll do. Okay, so this is what we'll do, Raj.
wait, there's somebody here, Mom, on YouTube. Oh, it's Chris. Say hi, Chris, Mom.
Hi, Chris, and yeah, it's Mom.
Sorry.
Just
I got
rewind
you.
it. It'll make sense once you rewind it and you go through the first part, Chris. We're on chapter 4 and 5.
4.
But we'll do 4 and we'll do 5, and then after that, we'll call it a day. And okay, well, let's do it on Sunday. Sundays will be better probably for me.
And
Because
we'll
I
do
won't
it at
have-
like
Because I
1
won't have a
o'clock.
2-year-old until 6 on certain Sundays. She won't show up until 6.
Yeah, we'll be done by then.
Yeah. So on Sundays would be best for me.
Do it like 12 or 1.
Okay, that's fine. Well, Raj is saying not early. So
Right. Like not 9 o'clock in the morning.
right.
But
We
like
can do
1
it at
or-
noon if you want. Well, y'all pick a time and let me know later. Okay, so let's get
What-
into chapter 4 now.
Okay.
Then Eliphaz, excuse me, Miss Lulu. That's part of my Bible. You don't get to do that. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, if we essay to commune with thee, will thou not be grieved? But who can withhold himself from speaking? Behold, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. Thy words have upholden him that was failing, and thou hast strengthened the feeble knees. Lulu. But now it has come upon thee, and thou faintest. It toucheth thee, and thou art troubled. Is not this thy fear, thy confidence, thy hope, and thy uprightness of the ways? Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished, being innocent, where were the righteous cut off? Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same by the blast of God. They perish by the breath of his nostrils and are consumed. The roaring of the lion and the voice of the fierce lion and the teeth of the young lions are broken. So here he's saying, look, dude, if this happened to you, even though you did a few nice things, you had to have been doing some shady stuff, because this kind of destruction don't happen to good guys. And if it does, then it's a travesty. But we ain't seeing that. I'm not seeing it that way. So these are guys coming out and saying, you know, we always thought there was something up with you. But you were so wealthy, we didn't want to rock the boat.
That's exactly what they're saying.
He says the old lion perishes for lack of prey, and the stout lion whelps are scattered abroad. Now a thing was secretly brought to me, and mine ear received a little thereof. And thoughts from the visions of night, when deep sleep falleth on men. So he's saying that while he was asleep, somebody told him something. Now this is where Satan does the same thing even to us. He disguises it as help, but Satan has already planted the seed in our families, our friends who come to us with all of this helpful information that's not really helpful because it's coming from the wrong source. That's why it says when people talk to you and say things to you, you're supposed to take it to the Lord first. If you have peace about it, then proceed. If you have no peace, then let it go. That's Samson. When he killed the lion. But it says, fear came upon me and trembling, which made all my bones shake. Then a spirit passed before my face, and the air of my flesh stood up. It stood still, but I could not discern the form thereof. An image was before mine eyes, where there was silence, and I heard a voice saying, shall mortal man be more just than God? Shall a man be more pure than his maker? See, Satan showed up. Because remember, if God sends an angel, they bring peace. Just like when you seen the angel of Gabriel appear before Mary, he said, peace be unto you. It says that when this spirit showed up, he was fearful and he was trembling, which is the opposite of God. It says that the angel comes to kill, or that Satan comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And he is the father of fear and lies. So this dude's having a conversation with the demon about a righteous man.
Hold on. Chris, you should see my grandma. Well, you should have seen my grandma. We all look alike.
Yes, we do. Matter of fact, I'll show you. Here, hold on a second. I got an awesome picture of my mom.
You should also see my daughter.
That's my mom with my stepdad, Chief.
Yep. She had great, beautiful white hair.
She did. I love my mom. I miss her. Love you, Mom. But anyway. But yeah, so this guy's having a conversation with a demon. Then he brings it to a righteous guy whom God himself called him a righteous man, right? Okay. So he says, behold, he put no trust in his servants, and his angels he charged with folly. How much less? Now, look, he's even admitting to his own destruction here. He says, behold, he put no trust in his servants. and his angels he charged with folly. So you know that this is Satan, because he's even admitting to his own downfall. How much less in them that dwell in the house of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, which are crushed before the mob. They are destroyed from morning to evening. They perish forever without any regarding it. Doth not their excellency which is in them go away? They die even without wisdom. So, this is Satan going, you need to go over there and you need to tell him that he was too prideful and too arrogant and too self-righteous for his own good. And that's why this happened. As if the self-righteous demonic force, Satan himself, it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black, don't you think? So you see this Satan being very deceptive to this guy who doesn't understand what actually happened. This is just Satan planting seed or bringing out how this man really felt about Job all along and say, just call him out on it. You already don't like him. I know it. God knows it. You might as well just say it. And he does, because he has been deceived.
Right. Are you on verse 8?
No, I'm done.
Oh, you're
With
done.
chapter 4. We're on chapter 5 now.
All right. You want to call it a day?
Yes, and we'll pick up at chapter 5.
Yeah, we can chat with the chat for a little bit if you want.
Okay, so what we're going to do, guys, is call it...
Pick up chapter 5 Saturday or Sunday or whatever.
Let's do it Sunday.
We'll do our own church.
I never thought of it like that, but kind of, yes. So that we can do this on next Sunday, because then we can take an hour and a half like we did today, and I can actually explain and teach this, because the book of Job is not a book you can just walk through. There's a few books in the Bible that you shouldn't just walk through. And I believe it's Genesis. I believe it's Job. I believe it's Ezekiel. I believe it's Jeremiah and a few others. But this book is really in depth because there's a whole lot going on here. It's the showing of it is the sowing of discord. It is the 3 against 1 thing, and how they're actually trying to make Job doubt himself. But my computer battery is about to die, and I don't know why it's not actually charging properly. So I have to get off of here, but we'll start to next Sunday at 5 on chapter 5. And I hope you guys all enjoyed this. I love sharing it with you. Are they all leaving?
No. Say bye.
I am saying bye. I love all of you guys. And I hope you guys all come back tomorrow next Sunday. Starts at 2. I hope to see everybody there and we can continue. I love the book of
Not
Job.
2. It's got to be 1.
Okay, we can do it at 1, from 1 to 2 or whatever.
Okay.
But I gotta go. My dogs are having a hissy fit outside. Okay.
All right. Love you, Mom.
All right. I love you guys, and I will see you next
Sunday.
You guys have a great rest of the day.
You too. Mom, you got to hang up.
All right. Love you guys. Bye.
How do you hang it up? Okay. There I am. So, what'd you guys think of my mom? My mom is pretty cool, right? Well, usually I have church every night, but actual church with a lesson might be better. She's really smart. That's why I was like, my mom can do Job. But I wish she would quit calling me a Jew. Because I'm not. My family just moved there and then moved to America. So I'm probably more American than Arabic, whatever. But yeah, catch it earlier next time because she explains a whole lot of stuff. And go back and rewatch this from the beginning. She does a lot of explaining stuff. Yeah, my mom studied a lot of people and she learned all this stuff from a lot of different sources. That's why the beginning of my video is like research everything you hear on this channel because I don't know. Everybody thinks different about things, so it was like yes, yes, they do, but a lot of Christians don't want to admit that. They don't want to admit the codependent relationship between God and these terrible ass people. And it's like, I don't want to be affiliated with these people. I treat God bad in my own way on accident. But I'm working on it. But yeah, everybody should rewatch. I'm going to rewatch it too. As much as it annoys me that she spent half the video talking about Genesis, I had to remind her we're not reading Genesis. Yeah. It's fun dealing with God people because you can never keep them on track. But I got to change my laundry. Yeah, that's what I have to do. I did my dishes. Now I have to change my laundry over. Yeah, that's going to be a good time. So, anyway. Yeah, my mom's really good at interpreting. But I'm going to let you guys go so that um I can go and do laundry. Yeah. Yeah. Supposedly Genesis is where it all begins. But they're saying Job is the oldest book. So I think everybody's related to Job because Job was the guy. But anyway, I got to get off here. And I don't think Job was the first guy. But somehow his book ended up being written first. I thought Moses wrote the Pentateuch, but apparently Job wrote something before Moses did. I don't know. It's Christian logic. But my mom explains that, or to the best of her ability, because it's very confusing on how this book is first. So I don't know. Job was recorded first. Right, but how did Moses write? See? I don't know what the fuck is happening. But my mom explains it to the best of her abilities. But I am gonna get off here and do, yeah, fold them closed before they wrinkle. All right. I am gonna set up a raid on Pilled Singing Pretty. Let's go to Singing Pretties, because I've only seen her a couple times. Because Job was before the journey of Moses. See, again, my mom's gonna explain all of that because somehow, I don't know. Christian logic. It's hard to follow. But my mom, she spit the words. She knew what to say. All right. Oh, my mom said I was not teaching Genesis. Sorry, Mom. I know what's happening. But I am going to go ahead and get off here. I love you guys, and I will see you later. Goodbye, Mom. I love you. Do, 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 do. Love you. Okay, my mom said she loves y'all. And Chris said some crazy Russian shit, and catch you on the other side.